All right, today we are diving into a huge transformation for one of the oldest professions out there, the notary public. We're talking about moving way beyond the old rubber stamp and into a completely new digital world of trust, verification, and yeah, a pretty significant new way to earn. Let's jump in.
I mean, really think about it. You can send money across the planet in a heartbeat, but when it's time for a court judgment, a big trade deal, or a trust agreement, suddenly we're drowning in stacks of paper. This isn't just annoying, it's a huge bottleneck for the whole economy.
And that massive paper jam we just mentioned, it's not just about being slow. It makes these critical deals expensive, confusing, and super risky. For you, the notaries and fiduciaries on the front lines, it means you're constantly fighting a system that's just begging for fraud, mistakes, and endless arguments. There has to be a better way.
And for the folks who get on board with that better way, well, the rewards are pretty incredible. The research we looked at shows that a notary who really gets the hang of this new digital setup could bring in up to $35,000 a month in new income. Now that is a game changer.
So how do we get you there? Here's the roadmap. We're going to look at the notary's new frontier, unpack your new digital toolkit, see how it deals with modern assets, walk through some real-world examples, and finally, we'll get to the core idea that makes this whole thing work.
So first up, the big picture. This is about so much more than just putting paperwork online. We're talking about a massive upgrade to the role itself. You're moving from being a stamper of documents to becoming a key executive in the entire chain of trust, verifying the very actions that our economy is built on.
This quote right here, it says it all. This is the promise of a platform like AppPro Pro. It's built to let competent notaries, the experts, the human operators, do what you do best, the actual notarial act. The system takes care of all the other stuff, gathering the evidence, documenting everything, and making sure you get paid.
Okay, so let's look under the hood. How does all of this actually work? Well, this new frontier is built on a few really powerful tools that all work together. Think of it like a brand new toolkit designed for proving things in the digital age.
It really boils down to three main pillars. You've got AppPro Pro, which is like the project manager running the whole workflow. Then there's Notary Chain, which is the official record keeper of who did what. And finally, Secure Bank Box, which is basically Fort Knox for all your evidence.
Now let's talk about Notary Chain for a second, because this is really cool. It's not about tracking money or coins, it's about tracking facts. It creates a permanent, unchangeable record that a specific authorized notary did a specific thing at a specific time in a specific place. This is the absolute bedrock of trust. So if Notary Chain answers who did it, Secure Bank Box answers the question, how can you prove it? It's a completely neutral vault, a digital safe deposit box for legal truth. It holds all the evidence, the documents, the digital fingerprints, the timestamps. This gives everyone a single source of truth, which makes audits easy and disputes pretty much just melt away. So here's the bottom line for you as a notary. Your job gets way more focused and way more protected. You do the work, you confirm it's done. Period. You're not trying to be a lawyer interpreting compliance rules. You're not playing detective trying to assemble evidence. And you are definitely not chasing down payments. The system handles all the grunt work so you can do the real work.
Now, this system isn't just built for old-school paper contracts. It's designed to handle all the weird, complex kinds of value we have today. And to do that, it uses a really powerful new concept called the Economic Value Record, or EVR. This quote absolutely nails it. An EVR takes a messy, real-world story, a narrative like, hey, a project delay cost us a ton of money, and it turns that story into standardized, measurable data backed by hard evidence. It quantifies the economic hit, creating a clean data point that a system can actually understand and act on.
And the process is kind of like a conveyor belt for truth. An event happens, it gets documented, and its financial impact is calculated. The system checks all the evidence, but, and this is absolutely critical, the machine does not make the final call. The EVR has to pass through what's called the allowance gate, where a human being, like a trustee, gives the final thumbs up. This keeps human judgment in the driver's seat. Okay, enough with the theory. How does this toolkit actually perform in the real world? Let's walk through two solid examples so you can see how all these different pieces, the AppPro Pro platform, the EVR, and the legal stuff, all snap together. So picture this. A client has a trust with a sweep account. Something goes wrong, a project gets delayed, and it causes a real financial loss.
Instead of a messy, expensive fight, an EVR gets created to document everything with proof. The trustee reviews it, says, yep, this is legitimate, and approves it at the allowance gate. And just like that, bam, the system automatically triggers a sweep to repurpose funds in the trust to cover that debt. The whole thing is clean, fast, and perfectly documented.
All right, now for a really fascinating one. How could somebody use something like goldbacks, which are basically these little notes with tiny, verifiable amounts of real gold inside, for a down payment on a house? I mean, with our current system, that sounds next to impossible, right? Well, not anymore.
So, the secret here isn't some brand new law that has to get passed. It's actually been hiding in plain sight this whole time, inside the Uniform Commercial Code, the UCC. There's this incredible category called general intangibles. You should think of it like a legal adapter, like a USB adapter for the law. It's a built-in way to plug new types of property, like goldbacks, into the existing system so they are recognized as legit collateral.
And that right there is the genius of this whole approach. It's not about trying to tear down the old system or wait for Congress to do something. It's about being smart and building a bridge. It connects all this powerful new technology directly to the legal and financial rails that we already use every single day.
And that brings us to the most fundamental idea behind this whole thing. It's a philosophy of designing for compliance first, and it's all based on one powerful core principle that changes the game.
Sometimes the easiest way to understand what something is to be really clear about what it is not. And this system is not a bank. It's not a broker, it doesn't run a marketplace, and it's not giving anyone investment advice. It never touches the client's money. It is simply the infrastructure, the railroad tracks, for verifiable proof.
And here it is. This is the single most important sentence in this whole explainer. We don't tokenize assets, we tokenize proof. Forget all the crypto hype about tokenizing a skyscraper. This is different. This is about creating a token that is an unbreakable, verifiable, court-admissible digital receipt that proves a lawful thing happened. That's the whole ballgame.
So why is that such a big deal? Because when you focus on proof first, everything else just gets simpler. Transactions get faster because trust is built right in. Disputes basically disappear because, what's there to argue about? The proof is right there. And audits, they become a piece of cake because the entire story is perfectly recorded from start to finish.
So, I'll leave you with this final question to think about. As we build these incredibly powerful systems where code can enforce rules perfectly, without bias, we bump into a fascinating new problem. What happens when the code executes the law flawlessly, but the law itself leads to an unfair outcome? Who gets to decide when the law is wrong? That is the new frontier we're all headed toward.